Salutations, ladies and gentlemen, the Knife Raven here, back again with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at another knife from Katz. Now, Katz, as many of you may know, is a Canadian-founded company, and I believe they are located in the United States now, but their knives are all made in Japan. The quality is very, very impressive. This is a large one, and this is part of a batch of knives that I was lucky enough to get at a very reasonable auction. And these knives were being sold for just a fraction of their original cost. And this was among them. Now, I would not probably carry this knife personally, but I'm very happy to have it. So, here's the box it comes in, and the sheath that it comes in. Now, this is a very large sheath, and it is made in the USA. Again, very nice leather on this. Katz does make some nice sheaths with their logo. And, well, I suppose that's the logo. This is the mascot, if you will. But there's your clasp. Very, very stiff to open, and here is the knife. Now, this is one of the most interesting and ridiculous knives that I have seen in a while. Now, this is the Cheetah by Katz, and it's a very large knife, as you can probably see. Now, I would compare this closely to a Buck 110 in terms of weight. This is a very heavy knife. In fact, I'd almost say it is heavier than a Buck. And fit and finish is very, very nice. You have your lock bar, brass liners, no visible pins. You've got steel brushed bolsters. I believe a brass shield. And this is, well, that was unexpected. This is apparently cherry wood, although it does look like there was some resin involved in here, as this is a bit of an odd grain among the cherry wood pieces that at least I've seen. But regardless of whether or not this has resin, it is very, very smooth, which, again, leads me to believe that it does. Everything is assembled very, very well. Everything is smooth. Everything is flush up here as well. Gapping, I believe, is not quite non-existent. There's a little bit at the lock bar there, but it's very, very small. But you can see the light shining through. Just a bit. I've seen worse gapping, but it isn't quite perfect. Blade centering, you could argue it's a hair to the right, but it's very, very close to being, I'd say that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. But you have two methods of opening. You've got a nail nick, and you have this little rubber thumb stud here. Now, in some countries where you have to have a knife that is two-hand opening only, you can just remove this, as there is a screw there, but it works all right. You definitely can't flick it or anything. It's very tight in its action. And it opens up to a very nice drop point blade. And here is the Cheetah, fully open. Got I think that's a hollow ground satin finish with XT80 steel, again, made in Japan. And you've got the Katz, Chandler, Arizona, USA. Very clean blade stamping and very nice finish. The blade is rock solid. No blade play here. And speaking of solid, this is a very comfortable knife. My hands aren't terribly large, but you can see I can choke up on this knife very effectively, and you get an excellent grip. This knife feels like an absolute tank. And with the jimping and the thumb stud here, you have a very nice place to put your thumb. And just overall, this knife fits in the hand beautifully. Again, it's not one that I'd see myself carrying all that much, just due to its size, but this is a very, very comfortable knife. I definitely put this in the category of small hunting knife or folding hunter, again, referring to something like a buck 110 or 112. But calling this a pocket knife in any real respect is not probably the most accurate thing in the world. This is a heavy, heavy knife, and I don't actually have a scale to put it on, but if I find the exact weight of it, I could put that in the description. But when I say this is heavy, buck 110 at least. Speaking of size, we'll do a quick measurement. You are looking at an overall length of 8 3/4 inches, almost on the dot. The blade is just a hair over 3 3/4, and the cutting edge is a little over 3 1/4. So that, combined with the fact that it's a lock blade, there is no way this is going to be legal in the UK, so keep that in mind. Not a carry piece by any means, especially there, but very solid lockup. Again, the transition from spring, or I should say lockbar, to blade is brilliant. Again, it's a very cleanly put together knife. And I don't believe there's blade wrap, but I guess I will still walk it shut, just in case. But very nice opening. Again, it's smooth, but very stiff. So you don't have to worry about it being loose, but it still is quite pleasant to engage. Speaking of which, the lock bar has a bit of a middling level of tension. It's not the stiffest lock bar in the world, but it's far from loose again. I'd say that this whole knife is kind of comprised of Goldilocks elements here. We have a just right lock bar tension and pivot tension as well. It's actually a bit of grime in there I should probably clean out. But all in all, this is a knife that I don't know very much about. I saw it on auction, and the price was absolutely excellent. Don't remember what it was exactly, but I believe these new were well over $250 US. So considering how expensive of a knife this would have been, it was definitely on the cheaper side. Now, I will probably never carry this, unless I am going hiking in the forest or camping for whatever reason. But I still very much am happy to have this knife in the collection. It's very well put together, and I have heard rumor, although I don't know if this is true, that Katz Knives is either out of business or not really releasing anything new. And the reason I say this is pretty much everywhere that would have sold them is now getting rid of them for clearance prices, and their website is no longer in existence. Does this mean that the company is gone? Not necessarily, but it isn't boding well. And so, if you want a knife from Katz, I would recommend that you jump on them quickly, as even if the company isn't going anywhere, they still are hard to find at best. And considering that most of the places that sell them are putting them on clearance, they may not be around for very long. So I'd recommend go grab them while you can. And there you are. So the Katz Cheetah. It's a large knife, it's a heavy knife, and it's one that I'll probably never carry, but it is very well made. Again, in Japan, like all of Katz knives. The steel is XT80, which I've touched on before. traditional stainless steel, nothing super special. It's no super steel, I don't believe. But all in all, very nice knife, and while it is not my favorite from Katz by any means, I definitely am happy to have it. And again, the quality speaks for itself. There's not much to say. It's just a big, beefy knife with a stiff lock, a sharp blade, hollow ground, and it is just a very comfortable knife in hand. But this is the second last Katz knife I have, well, that I haven't reviewed, that I should say. And there will be one more, maybe in the next few days to a week. But I figured I'd do this one, as it's probably it is the biggest and probably the one that I'd be least likely to carry. But regardless, it's a very nice knife, very well made, and I personally am quite happy with it. So there you are. There's the Katz Cheetah lockback in cherry wood, and this is the Knife Raven, as always, signing off. Goodbye.